Were your parents intense about grades? When I brought home a 97 on my chemistry final, my father opened the family ledger, wrote that I owed him $750, and made me sign my name under the amount like it was a real debt I would actually have to pay. My parents believed college was the only door out of the life they came from, and that every point we lost was money stolen out of the family's future. A 99 was theft. A missed extra credit question was fraud. The ledger was a hardcover accounting book that had sat on the sideboard in our dining room since before I could read. Every point below 100 was billed at $250. Dad wrote the entries in blue pen, with the date, the class, the score, and a running balance in the right-hand column. He called us the portfolio. Mom called us underperforming assets when she was angry, which was most of the time. The punishments were designed to make the debt feel real. When I got a 94 on an English paper at 14, Dad printed my page from the ledger and walked me around the neighborhood, door to door, and made me offer to do chores until the balance cleared. I had to hand people the printout and explain what I owed and why. Our neighbor, Mr. Prewitt, read it twice and asked me if everything was okay at home, and I smiled and said we were just teaching ourselves financial responsibility, because that was the sentence Dad had made me practice in the driveway. When my little sister Ren got an A- in 4th grade, Mom held a yard sale in our driveway. She priced Ren's things with masking tape and made Ren sit at the folding table and run the register herself, so she'd understand where the money for her education came from. Ren's stuffed rabbit sold for $2 to a woman who didn't even look at her. Ren handed over the money and said thank you, because Mom was standing behind her. She was 9. That was the summer she started counting things under her breath. Stairs, ceiling tiles, she still does it. My brother Nolan got an 89 on a geometry test when he was 13, and Dad woke him up at 5 in the morning and drove him to the parking lot behind the hardware store where day laborers wait to get picked up for work. He left him standing there in the cold with a paper bag lunch and told him to see what an 89 buys you. Nobody picked Nolan up. He stood there until 4 in the afternoon, and when Dad came back, he asked Nolan what he'd learned, and Nolan said he'd learned to do better. And once a year, on the last night of December, we had what Dad called the annual audit. The 3 of us sat at the dining room table after dinner, and he read the whole year out loud, every entry. And then each of us had to say out loud what we had cost the family that year, not read it off the page. Say it, in a full sentence, with the number in it, looking at him. The breaking point came senior year. I had been perfect for 2 straight years, not one single point off, because I had figured out that perfection was the only thing that made me invisible in that house. There was a scholarship that required a 4.0, and it was the entire escape plan, the only version of my life where I got out. And then I got my AP chemistry midterm back with a 92 on it. When I got home, they were calm. That was the first wrong thing. Dad came in from the hallway with a navy blue binder I had never seen before and put it down in front of me. He said they'd been waiting 4 years for this day. The day one of us finally defaulted. Family Educational Investment Agreement. My name in the party line. My signature at the bottom of page 4, in ink, over a notary seal. Dad started reading it out loud in a flat courtroom voice. My parents had advanced $186,400 in educational investment on my behalf. I had agreed, freely and with understanding, that if my performance fell below the family standard, the full amount became repayable. It said I could not establish a separate residence until the balance was settled. Mom said the word enforceable twice. She said it the way other parents say the word grounded. Dad turned to the last page, put his finger on my signature, and said, "You signed this on March 14th when you were 13 at this table, and you've been in default since Tuesday." I looked at the signature. Something about it was wrong. I couldn't say what yet, but my stomach knew before my head did. The capital letter at the front of my first name had a loop coming off the top of it. I did not sign my name that way when I was 13. I started signing it that way in 10th grade because a girl in my geometry class did it, and I copied her for a month, and then it stuck. This document was dated a full year before I ever made that change. Click here to watch part 2 of the story.